Now, unfortunately, the world has been subjected to episode 5 of The Acolyte by the time you see this video, but unfortunately for me, or maybe fortunately, because I have caught myself up on the first 4 episodes of this season, so yeah, this little reveal that, the identity of Smylo Ren has been leaked by a leaker, it's like, it's the least exciting choice that could have been made, so of course it was the only obvious choice to be made, so maybe we know by episode 5, even though this kind of, and especially from all of these Star Wars and Disney Plus, I don't really know about the Disney proper ones, but at least the Marvel and the Star Wars TV shows that come out on Disney Plus, the structure of these series always ends up following the exact same thing, where you don't end up getting that big hook until episode 7, and then everything just gets wrapped up neatly by episode 8. So yeah, the confirmed identity of Smylo Ren will ultimately be made either to set up the obvious flashback episode that's probably coming next week, or will have already been set up because Leslie Headland can't write her way out of a wet paper bag. So she's going to already try to stretch this incredibly thin plot, which has already been spoiled so many different times. It's like this thing, man. Okay, when I was watching coverage of this stuff, so I'm caught up on most of the insanity, I can firmly say it's the dumbest thing that I have ever seen reviewed. And it only cost $180 million. Insane, man. But we'll talk about, probably by the end of the week, we'll talk about what's going on with episode 5, or maybe the conversation around that, because at this point in time, the identity of this flumpy dude, I mean, like, anybody really care? Okay, so spoilers. A leaker has revealed the identity of the Sith in Leslie Headland's Star Wars series. Yeah, but we don't know it's a Sith because they didn't explicitly say it was a Sith. So that's why the Ki-Adi-Mundi controversy of him being in a show 40 years before he was born. Oh, that's not canon. Or him coming to the conclusion that we don't know it's a Sith. It could be that, the Jedi washout trainee that's going around killing other Jedi could be trained by another splinter cell of Jedis, or something worse, but the something worse than a splinter cell of Jedis couldn't possibly be the Sith, and especially if they don't have a red lightsaber, which canonically in Disney lore can only be afforded to a Sith because you have to bleed the Kyber crystals. Anything but logical. Yeah, don't worry about it. A leaker shared a screenshot with a YouTuber script trooper, from an upcoming episode of The Acolyte, revealing the Sith character is that attacked a group of Jedi and appeared to have killed the Jedi Master Kel Naka. Yeah, the Wookiee that they couldn't show in a fight sequence with Smylo Ren. That fight scene ultimately couldn't take place, and that he just needed to be slumped over, I guess kind of slung back in his chair with a still singed lightsaber mark, just across his rib cage, which, I don't know, if he was a chick, he would have been able to survive that, because, we've seen multiple women now get stabbed in the stomach, make it out alive, but no, he just got, lightly slashed, is just a flesh wound, unless of course you're a Wookiee Jedi, then that'll just kill you outright. But couldn't show him, defending himself, because that wasn't in the budget for the $22.5 million that episode would have cost, the 27 minutes. So you just about cost $1 million a minute. Cool. Yes, showcased in the video, the identity of the Sith is Manny Jacinto's Khmer. Yeah, discount Asian Ezra Miller, the guy who's been acting sus, the only other person that wasn't May to come along on the bad side to, I forgot what that goofy ass not Endor planet was. Ofar. Yeah, there we go. Great names that you have there. It's not surprising that Khmer would be the Sith. Yeah, he seemingly knew exactly where Kel Naka's base and was guiding May to it in the show's 4th episode. Yeah, exactly. And then he mysteriously got caught by a trap, and nobody's seen what ultimately ended up happening. And this was after, May's just strange face turn, where seemingly out of nowhere, she's like, no, I'm going to go turn myself into the Jedi and just announce that I've done bad things, but they'll let me go because I said that I did bad things. It makes no sense at all whatsoever. So yeah, of course, he's going to end up losing his acolyte. Therefore, yeah, of course, he has no reason not kill the Wookiee Jedi. is a bad show. In the show's second episode, he's also showed his adeptness at dodging May's attacks on him. Oh yeah, exactly. Supplying her with the poison, kill Tom and Baratheon. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Great reveal. It's kind of like how it's like, oh no, you got two characters. You got one character at the beginning who's running around killing Jedi, but then there's two characters that look identical. So, oh no, the big twist of the series that they're twins at play here takes place, and the reveal takes place within the first 20 minutes of the show. So yeah, of course, why wouldn't you have the most obvious character be revealed as being the not Sith? I guess the only thing that's going to be interesting, and the reason to just continue on with this show, is to figure out how they're going to try to explain away a Sith, or even if they're going to, or even bring up Ki-Adi-Mundi ever again, because that shit would just be hilarious. He showed up to just retroactively contradict what he would end up saying in the future, that the Sith hadn't been sensed in a millennia. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. But according to the writer, and this was a joke, obviously, yeah, Yoda couldn't be reached. He was busy out doing Jedi things. But yes, in an interview with Nerds of Color, I want to die, ahead of the show's release, it was heavily hinted that Khmer Qyburn had a duality to him. The interviewer asked, with Star Wars in general, there's a duality to it, unless, of course, you ask Yord, and when he's not telling you and reaffirming that Anakin was the one to blow up the Death Star. There is no black and white. There is no good and evil in Star Wars. Everybody associated with the show is brilliant. The smartest guy in the show can't even speak English. There's a, Sith and Jedi, good and bad, emotions or no emotions. Yes, because Sith, legendary for not having emotions. Same with Jedis. And for your Khmer, Q, there's no allegiance. We don't know where he lies, May and Osha, and we're not allowed to talk about it. There's the duality between them. Yeah, get it? Because they're twins. It's so great. You guys can tell me about your characters in relation to this black and white spectrum of duality. Wow, who gives a shit? That's terrible. I'm not shocked. It was terribly telegraphed. It doesn't really end up making the story any more dramatic, because the big problem that it was set up prior to this show was the eradication of all the space lesbian witches that birthed May and Osha. Now you have the big bad guy is just, a force-wielding drug dealer. Like, okay, cool, I guess. That's Star Wars. That's Star Wars right now, under the stewardship of Disney, under the stewardship of Kathleen Kennedy. It's not about telling a good Star Wars story. It's all about telling a personal story under the guise of faith wizards, with an audience intended for children. That's all that they care about, man. Okay, because after the Acolyte is done, the next batch of cringe that's coming out, outside of just, the laughably bad and poorly written Dave Filoni, specifically, even though he's, signed off on all of that Acolyte stuff, but his Mandalorian and Grogu gimmick. No, he gets the Mandoverse show. It's Jon Favreau. They're both interchangeably awful when it comes to Star Wars stuff. He's getting the Mandalorian and Grogu thing. Then the Mandoverse, the big conclusion to all this crap where Grand Admiral Cope comes back with his stupid zombie stormtroopers to, I don't know, not ultimately get what he was planning for, but then still consider it to be a victory. It's going to be bad regardless, but in the continuation of the Star Wars cinematic endeavors, I said endeavors, and I guess that's also what Lucasfilm is kind of aiming at, because we heard the rumors that episode 10 is going to be the new beginning. It's going to be Rey Palpatine setting the wrongs right in regards to the Jedi Order, something that Luke friggin' Skywalker couldn't get right, but Rey can, because, well, she's a woman, and Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy claims Rey Skywalker is the heart of Star Wars and implies film will continue to inject feminism into Star Wars. It's all so laborious. It's all so tiresome, because it's so funny, right? Because there was a clip. There was a clip that was making the rounds a couple of days ago. I've seen this a few different times. It was shared around. But this was probably when Star Wars was at its peak, at the release of the Return of the Jedi in 1983. And you could see all of the Star Wars fans, right? Like, they're out there, you got people dressed up. I think kind of doing a, Han Solo cosplay or something like that. Or maybe it was just a style at the time. But people wearing the merch, being big excited about the movie coming out, probably being half disappointed and then half going, well, at least we got to see the throne room scene. Okay, another Death Star got blown up, and so cool that Bill Nye actually got to take this in on the night of. But you see men, you see women, you see black people, you see Hispanics, you see a lot of feathered hair. But you know what you don't see? People who hate Star Wars for other people enjoying it and then just trying to turn it into their own little pet project and then ruin everybody else's fun. You don't see the likes of Amandla Stenberg out there, you know, making those cringe ass diss tracks saying that everybody's racist, everybody's sexist, everybody just wants their pound of flesh. It's like when you let these freaks in the front door, they end up ruining everything instead of building it up and making it better. Instead of being an adult, reconciling with the fact that you made the single worst piece of Star Wars media in history, you just write off your critics as silly racists, okay? You just see somebody else who has a different opinion, somebody who finally broke free of the programming in the form of Star Wars theory, a guy who's finally having conversations with people that don't just lap up this crap, and, well, now he gets to face the full wrath of the Disney Star Wars fandom. And yeah, as master of the TDS, who's ever diligent about making these little collages, just illustrating how mentally well these people are, brings us all together. The next time someone tells you that you are a toxic Star Wars fan, just remember the kind of people you are dealing with. These are, yes, threats being made against Star Wars theory, including someone saying that they would publicly Ned Stark him and sell popcorn. These are the real toxic Star Wars fans. Yes, exactly, because again, I'll show you that clip that's right there. Okay, scan through it once again. Those are people from all walks of life looking forward to and enjoying, guess what, Star Wars. Not for the fact that they could see themselves in Star Wars. Okay, that guy, he probably is under no illusions that puts on a bomber jacket like that and, you know, his Pinto doubles as a, you know, Millennium Falcon. Not that delusional. She's not out there thinking that, you know, she's Princess Leia or she's going to be flying next to Porkins making another bombing run. Absolutely not. These are people that like the movies. They just like the movies because guess what? They were good movies. Guess what? It was a cultural phenomenon. But now you fast forward to 2024 and you have idiots who have co-opted the biggest cinematic franchise of all time to make it their own ideological soapbox, okay, in the form of Leslie Headland, Amandla Stenberg, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, to just continue to force in their own agendas to a diminishing and dwindling and incredibly violent consumer base. Nobody cares about the Acolyte. Everybody cares about the conversations around the Acolyte, the reviews of the Acolyte, the actual viewership numbers of the show. 4.8 million views, minutes or something like that, between the first 2 episodes being the lowest rated Star Wars show of all time. Franchise is in a rough spot right now. And if they're just going to continue to go straight forward, the only time that they're going to be straight about anything, but just continue to careen right off cliff for freaks like this, go ahead, you keep doing that stuff, because we'll continue to laugh at it, we'll continue to mock it until it gets to a point where it's so bad that not even those freaks will even defend it. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.